Do you get urges to eat things that you said you weren't going to eat, or that you know aren't good for you, or that don't make you feel good? And or do you get urges to eat at times when you've said you didn't want to eat? For example, in the middle of the night. Pamela Nance Lee here, certified wellness coach and expert in diet-free weight loss, having lost 60 pounds myself without going on a diet after 45 years of yo-yo dieting. So I'm here to talk to you today about how you can overcome urges, which is a very big deal in weight loss in general, and specifically in diet-free weight loss, because we don't want to restrict ourselves as we have in all of the other diets that we've tried. We've restricted, and what that restriction does is it makes you want to eat the thing that you're restricting from. So the first step in overcoming our urges is to get very honest and real with them. When are they happening? We have to find out what are our patterns, our triggers, and our cues for when these urges come into the picture, come into our minds. So some common urges that I had within myself and that I've heard from my clients, a huge urge, a huge trigger is when you're watching television. And a lot of times this is after the dinner meal, so you've already had dinner and it's maybe just an hour or two after. There's no reason that you should be hungry, and yet here comes this urge. Now, possibly you've habituated yourself to eating while you're watching TV. So a lot of times the urge is really just because it's a pattern that you've been doing, and there is a dopamine hit when you give yourself a reward, much like Pavlov's dogs. When the bell was rang and the dogs got a treat, they got habituated to that reward. There's a chemical transfer in our mind that goes on. So you've rewarded yourself. Basically, you sit down to watch the television. Oh, what treat am I gonna have? So that is a huge place where I see urges come in. Another place it happens a lot, it has to do with when working parents, a lot of times moms, but it could be dads too, come home from work. And it's this transition between work life, the work job, and then the home job. Because parents, let's face it, you know, you got two jobs going on. If you work outside the home, or even now if during COVID, if you're working inside the home, you still have this whole separate job that has to do with making dinner for the kids and baths and homework and giving them attention and all of that. So that is a common time. There's like a cue that goes on. You come home from work, go right to the pantry and dig some chips out or something like that. And then a very common time also is driving home from work. I have had several clients who pull in to drive through fast food in order to give themselves a little something. Again, we get a dopamine hit in our minds. It's a reward, and we have acclimated ourselves and accustomed ourselves to that. So first step, find out where are these trigger points, where are these cues. Now, a very basic first way to overcome these urges is to remove the stimulus from which you get triggered in the first place. There's a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous that goes, if you don't want to slip, don't go to slippery places. So that means if you don't want to drink in Alcoholics Anonymous, that means don't go into the bar. That would be the slippery place. So, for example, people that eat while they're watching television, well, maybe just remove the television piece for a while. Like maybe it's really not something that you need to do every night. Maybe there are other longings that are just being held down because you're sitting in front of the television every night eating, and you're not able to express a creative voice within you that's asking to do a paint by numbers kit, or break out some yarn and crochet something, or read a novel, or talk on the phone to a friend and connect with someone, or play with your kids, get involved in a game. There are so many other things that you could be doing besides television. Now, I get it. People have their favorite programs and whatnot. The next challenge then would be is to not have the food piece be involved with the television, breaking that cycle. And it's going to be a challenging one because you have gotten that hit of dopamine, that reward. But you make a rule with yourself and you say, I'm going to watch television and I'm not going to eat. And this is where watching the urge comes in. So some tips on watching the urge. You sit down to watch television. You always eat when you're watching television. So you have that conversation with yourself. I know I always eat when I'm watching television, but tonight I'm doing something different. So you're fine for a few minutes watching television, just watching. The voice will come in, and it usually sounds something like this. Anyways, mine does. It goes like this. It goes, you know you have cookies in the refrigerator or in the cupboard, or you know you have some popcorn in the cupboard, or you know you have some, it just kind of, it's like this sort of neutral little reminder voice that's just coming to me out of the goodness of its dopamine wanting heart to say to me, you've got some treats in there. You always eat treat. And then, so first up, the voice comes, you've got some cookies in the cupboard, whispers in your ear. And you just say, I know, but I'm not having that tonight. I'm doing something different. And go back to watching television. It's going to come again, probably. It'll knock a little bit louder. It'll say something like, you were so good today. You really just stayed on your plan, and you didn't eat anything that you don't want to eat. And what's 2 little cookies, come on. It's something like that, You just be patient and you say, you know what? I'm doing something different. Thanks for reminding me that I stayed on my plan today, and I really appreciate that, and I'm going to stay on it tonight. I've decided I don't want to eat while I'm watching television. That's what I'm doing tonight. I'm not eating while I'm watching television. And it just might keep going. Sometimes if you catch it right in the beginning, it will stop. And I promise you, the more you don't give into it, it's just like the toddler in the grocery store. I'm sorry to tell you this, but the toddler that you give into and let her have the candy bar at the checkout is going to keep doing it. So the toddler that lives inside your brain, the primitive brain that wants to keep everything the same, which means keep everything safe, it is going to bug you again. And the less you reward it, the less it is going to bother you. And these urges will come in like waves. You don't have to resist it. It's not like you're pushing through the wave and trying to knock it down. It's not that energy. The energy is just simply being with it, just acknowledging it. Okay, it's here, and I'm choosing not to act on it. And the more you choose not to act on your urges, that means when you don't act on an urge, that means you're supporting the conscious frontal cortex, the evolved part of your mind that has made the choice that you don't want to eat while you're watching television or whatever your particular circumstance is. The more that you practice that, you will strengthen that. And that will continue to grow. And so you will have the urges coming up less and less and less. So just being with the urge is definitely one way of riding through it as if on a wave. And the other thing that you can do, if if you need a stronger pattern interrupt is if you are sitting down to watch television and the urge voice comes, or whatever your particular cue is or your trigger, then you have a plan in place to do a pattern interrupt. So a pattern interrupt would be having something else pleasurable. This is not, oh, my urge is here and now I don't want to watch television. I'm going to go scrub the toilet until the urge leaves. No, that won't ever work. So it has to be something pleasurable. Okay, I'm watching television. I'm still getting this urge. I don't want to keep sitting here. It feels like it's getting stronger. I'm going to go upstairs and lay on my bed and listen to some music, listen to a playlist. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to light some incense. I'm going to go for a quick walk around the block. I'm going to pet the dog. I'm going to call my best friend who I haven't talked to for a week. All of these other pleasurable activities, it's good to have a list of them written down of what other things you can do as pattern interrupters, because you have been practicing whatever habits you have and giving into whatever urges you give into for a really long time. So you're going to need a toolkit of tricks that you can do. The first one being, let me repeat, sitting with the urge, acknowledging the urge and gently talking to it. Nope, that's not what we're doing. See if it passes. And if it doesn't pass within a timely manner, I would set the timer on your phone for like 5 minutes. And if it hasn't passed and it's getting louder, do a pattern interrupt. Have a list of things available to you. This is what I'm going to go do. And let me tell you the beauty of this. Besides deconditioning yourself for this treat that's not really a treat, if it has a negative consequence, which I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you're following some urges that you don't want to follow and you're having a negative consequence. So if whatever thing you are treating yourself with, be it food, some people alcohol or cigarettes or whatever, if you are over consuming that and it has negative consequences, it's not a treat. So do something that is good for you and find out, like, what is really going on with me? Like, what is it that I'm really seeking when I want to eat and watch television? And am I just wanting to numb out? Do I just want to watch television and eat and not give a crap about my life? Like, I just want to tune it out? Well, you need to find out, like, is there something going on there? Is there a difficult conversation you've been needing to have? Do you have some emotions that you've been wanting to hold down because you felt like they were going to overtake you? Are you sad about something? Is a relationship shifting or changing in your life? Are you having a hard time with your kids? Are you and your spouse getting along? Like, what is going on for you that you're wanting to just sit and watch television and eat? Or you're wanting to drive through fast food and eat a meal before you get home and eat a meal with your family. Or you're up at 3 a.m. scavenging through the pantry, looking for something that's gonna quiet your mind, gonna numb you out. So why is that happening is the bigger question. What's going on that you're wanting to numb out from your life? That's what you need to look at. And it's gonna take interrupting these patterns for you to get answers. Because if you're just gonna eat and stuff it down, then it's gonna be held down and you're not gonna be able to look at it. And I promise you, you can handle whatever emotions are coming up for you that you're trying to eat to avoid. So that's what I've got for you today on overcoming urges. If you'd like more help with this, I am around. You can email me at bloomwithpamela@gmail.com. Check out my website, bloomfromwithinwellness.com, or find me on Facebook, Pamela Nance Lee. The link to my private Facebook group is here on this page. It doesn't cost anything. You can jump on in and see what I'm about. All right, take care. Have a beautiful day. And yeah, have an interesting time watching those urges as they arise like waves and just letting them pass through you. Okay, take care.